This blog post explains the distinction between server and client components in a Next.js application through two examples: server component Hello World and client component Hello World. It demonstrates how rendering varies between server-side and client-side, utilizing logs and HTML source inspection to illustrate Next.js's approach to pre-rendering and client-side hydration. The aim of this blog post section is to create a simple example that illustrates the differences between React server components and client components, making it easier to understand their respective behaviors. The text provides a command for installing dependencies using the package manager pnpm. Specifically, the command is pnpmi. This section of the blog post provides instructions for running a development server using the command npm run dev. It highlights the implementation of a home page that incorporates both server and client components. The TypeScript code snippet defines a default function home, which returns a JSX structure containing a div element. Inside the div, two components are rendered: server component Hello World and client component Hello World. In Next.js, components are server components by default unless specified as client components. The provided code snippet showcases a simple server component named server component Hello World. It logs a message to the console and renders an h2 HTML element with the text Hello World server component. The text describes how to declare a component as a client component in a React application using the useClient directive. It provides a TypeScript code snippet for a functional component named client component Hello World, which logs a message to the console and renders a heading with the text Hello World client component. This indicates that the component will render and execute on the client side. The text describes a visual representation of a web application in action, showcasing its interface through a screenshot. It emphasizes the functionality of the application, likely focusing on its usage of React server components. The blog post discusses an issue with React server components, where both server and client component content appear in the HTML source. This occurs because React pre-renders static content from client components on the server, treating them as static, which leads to their inclusion in the initial HTML output. The blog post explains that when using React server components, the message Hello World client component is logged in both the browser console and the VS Code server terminal. This happens because React first renders the component on the server and then re-renders, hydrates it on the client, leading to duplicate logs during development. The blog post discusses two types of components in web development: server components and client components. Server components are rendered solely on the server, making them suitable for data fetching and non-client operations. In contrast, client components provide interactivity on the client side, but can also be pre-rendered on the server for static content. Understanding the rendering of these components is crucial for optimizing performance and improving user experience. The text includes a list of links related to React and Next.js, specifically focusing on server components and client-side rendering. It features a discussion by Dan Abramoff about why client components are server-side rendered, SSR to HTML, along with links to the official documentation for React server components and pre-rendering in Next.js. Additionally, there is a script included for highlighting code syntax on the web page.